It's hard to believe that just a few weeks ago, we were all celebrating the best economic statistics most of us had ever seen. It's forced us at the Chamber to pivot away from networking and event planning to a whole new reality. I know all of us have been sitting through many of these webinars and teleconferences. I also know that at least some of what you've been told has either been incomplete, confusing, or accidentally misleading. Please know that I don't think that any of this was on purpose. I think our federal, state, and local officials have tried their very best to provide access to programs and resources that they sincerely believed would help us. Every system and every process, from lending and banking to unemployment, was designed for the reality that existed before the coronavirus pandemic. No one, not you, not me, and certainly not our government, understood what was going to happen. So let's try to unpack some of this together. We recognized early on that we'd need a rapid response method to share the emerging information with all of you. We created a dedicated landing page on our website to combine and contain it. The main landing page includes button links to financial and resource information. Jen Gerlach, who's with us today and is controlling this presentation, is literally updating this information on a daily basis. Just yesterday, we were informed that some of our state loans and grants have run out of funding. So we took those links down yesterday. Also, the Frederick City Micro Grant has also closed, although the city hopes to replenish that program through a donation partnership with the Community Foundation of Frederick County. I want to focus on programs authorized by both the Federal Families First Act and the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. They call it the CARES Act, which was passed by Congress and signed into law last Friday. The first is the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. I want to talk about who's eligible for the EIDL. In general, all of the following entities that have suffered substantial economic injury caused by a disaster, provided that they were in existence on January 31st, 2020. And you don't need to write all this down. All of the information I'm going to go through on the EIDL, on the Paycheck Protection Program, on the family and medical leave and sick leave, all of the information I'm going to talk about is available on our COVID-19 resource page. So please don't worry about it if you don't get it all jotted down. And we'll also record and post this Zoom for later. But the following businesses are eligible for an economic injury disaster loan. Businesses with fewer than 500 employees. Cooperatives and tribal small businesses with fewer than 500 employees. Sole proprietors, and this is very important, independent contractors, and most private nonprofits are eligible. What are the parameters for this EIDL? The maximum EIDL is a $2 million working capital loan at a rate of 3.75% for private sector businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits with up to a 30-year term. Payments on any coronavirus EIDL loan are deferred for up to 1 year. Up to $200,000 can be approved without a personal guarantee. Approval can be based on a credit score, and no first-year tax returns are required for the EIDL program. Borrowers do not have to prove that they could not get credit elsewhere, which is the typical requirement for economic disaster loans. No collateral is required for loans of $25,000 or less. For loans of more than $25,000, general security in interest in business assets will be used for collateral instead of real estate. And borrowers must allow the Small Business Administration to review their tax records. Now, along with an EIDL loan, you can access a $10,000, what they refer to as instant grant. Now, I want you to know that not many of these grants have actually been awarded. They were promised within 3 days of loan submittal, but the system isn't working anywhere nearly that quickly, but they are trying to expedite it. Eligible applicants for an EIDL can receive a $10,000 emergency grant within 3 days of application. Again, it's going to take longer than 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. There is no obligation to repay the grant. To receive the $10,000 emergency grant, it is not necessary to have an approved EIDL loan. However, if you're able to secure a Paycheck Protection Program loan, and we'll talk about them in a minute, the $10,000 grant will be subtracted from the forgiveness amount. So how do you apply? It's really easy. You go online at sba.gov/disaster, DISASTER, and you'll see the application process for the EIDL loan and the ability to seek that $10,000 grant. The next resource that I want to discuss is the Paycheck Protection Program. This is a federally backed loan. Small businesses and sole proprietors were allowed to begin applying on April 3rd, while independent contractors and self-employed people will be able to apply as of April 10th. The delay is that none of the loan process, federally backed loan process, was adjusted for independent contractors and the self-employed. So all of those regulations had to be written, and the hope is to have all of that ready for your applications on April 10th. To apply, you must go through a federally insured depository, that's one of our banks, a federally insured credit union, or the Farm Credit System. Here's my best advice to you, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to your banker. The Frederick County or Frederick City Bank where you do your business or personal banking primarily. Banks are always going to place a priority on their depository customers. It's just the way it is. So you should be talking to your bank about this program and how to apply for it. The program is open for application until June 30th, but I strongly suggest, if you haven't already, talk to your banker. I know that late last week and early this week, not all of our local banks were ready for this. Actually, not many banks across the country were ready for this, but they're getting better now. And they're at least able to start the process with you, tell you the documents that you need to assemble, and bring with you things like tax records and payroll records and that kind of information. So again, I know that Saturday and Monday were very stressful, scary times in dealing with banks, but they're getting their feet into them now. I'm confident by the end of this week, all of our local banks will be in a position to help borrowers get through this process. So let me talk about the Paycheck Protection Program. And again, don't worry about not writing all this down. Everything I'm sharing with you on this webinar is available on the COVID-19 resource landing page of the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce website. And Jen will talk about that a little bit later. You are eligible for a PPP. It's easier to say PP than Paycheck Protection Program, but you're eligible for a PPP if you are a small business with fewer than 500 employees, a small business that otherwise meets the SBA size standard, a 501c3 nonprofit with fewer than 500 employees, an individual who operates as a sole proprietor, an individual who operates as an independent contractor, an individual who is self-employed who regularly carries on any trade or business, a tribal business that meets the SBA size standard, and 501c19 veterans organizations that meet the SBA standard. What will lenders be looking for the Paycheck Protection Program? The number one thing is a borrower will need to complete the loan process with a local institution or authorized institution. Lenders will also ask you for a good faith certification that, one, the uncertainty of current economic conditions makes the loan request necessary to support ongoing operations. Number two, the borrower will use the loan proceeds to retain workers and maintain payroll or make mortgage, lease, and utility payments. Number three, the borrower does not have an application pending for a loan duplicative of the purpose and amounts applied for here. Number four, from February 15th, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, the borrower has not received a loan duplicative of the purpose and amounts applied for here. If you're an independent contractor, sole proprietor, or self-employed individual, lenders will also be looking for certain documents. Things like payroll tax filings or Form 1099s, or if you don't have them, and some businesses don't, income and expenses from the sole proprietorship. How much can a borrower borrow under the PPP? Loans can be up to 2.5 times the borrower's average monthly payroll costs, not to exceed $10 million. Included in the, so the calculation will look like this when you meet with your lender. It will be the sum of included payroll cost minus the sum of excluded payroll costs, and that will give you your average monthly payroll cost. Let me quickly go over what is an included payroll cost. The sum of payments of any compensation with respect to employees that is, number one, salary, wage, commission, or similar compensation, payment of cash tip or equivalent, payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, allowance for dismissal or separation, payment required for the provisions of group health care benefits, including insurance premiums, payment of any retirement benefit, payment of state or local tax assessed on the compensation of the employee. And for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and the self-employed, the sum of payments of any compensation to or income of a sole proprietor or independent contractor that is a wage, commission, income, net earnings from self-employment, or similar compensation that is in an amount that is not more than $100,000 in 1 year, as prorated for the covered period. So that's the included payroll cost. And you're subtracting that then from the sum of excluded payroll costs. And here's some examples of what falls into the excluded payroll cost category. Number one, compensation of an individual employee in excess of an annual salary of $100,000 as prorated for the period February 15th to June 30th, 2020. Payroll taxes, railroad retirement taxes, and income taxes. Any compensation of an employee whose principal place of residence is outside of the United States. Qualified sick leave wages for which a credit is allowed under Section 7001 of the Families First Act or Section 7003 of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And I'm going to talk about those leave programs in just a minute. Will the loan be forgiven? This is one of the most important questions to get answered, and your lender will go over this with you. But borrowers are eligible to have their loans forgiven. A borrower is eligible for loan forgiveness equal to the amount the borrower spent on the following items during the 8-week period beginning on the date of the origination of the loan. Number one, payroll costs, using the same definition of payroll costs used to determine the loan eligibility. Number two, interest on the mortgage obligation incurred in the ordinary course of business. Number three, rent on a leasing agreement. Number four, payments on utilities such as electric, gas, water, transportation, telephone, or internet. And finally, borrowers with tipped employees, additional wages that are paid to those employees. The government is now advising, and I'm talking about as of Monday, the government is now advising that because of the high participation across the country, it's anticipated that not more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be for non-payroll costs. A loan forgiveness cannot exceed the principal. So they're going to want to make sure that most of this PPP money is being used to make your payroll whole. So what happens if you bring back your employees or you restore wages? Reductions in employment or wages that occur between February 15th, 2020 and April 26, 2020 shall not reduce the amount of loan forgiveness if by June 30, 2020, the borrower eliminates the reduction in employees or the reduction in wages. So that's how you get your full PPP loan forgiven, is you address whatever furloughs or layoffs that you had to undertake by the 30th of June, 2020. So now I want to shift to some of the employer resources that we also have on our website. The first thing I want to talk about is unemployment insurance and benefits. There's been a lot of questions about how the unemployment insurance program across the country has changed. The unemployment insurance benefits changes that we've seen under the CARES Act and the Families First Coronavirus Act are, it creates a temporary pandemic unemployment assistance, PUA, program for those that are not traditionally covered by employment insurance. And that includes self-employed, independent contractors, or those with limited work history. Those categories have typically been excluded from the standard unemployment insurance, and under the pandemic, that's no longer true. The modified unemployment benefit also provides an additional $600 per week for recipients of unemployment insurance and pandemic unemployment insurance for up to 4 months. It provides an additional 13 weeks of unemployment insurance after the state unemployment insurance period expires. The federal government will cover 100% of the cost of the first week of unemployment insurance if states waive the 1-week waiting period to begin benefits, and Maryland has already done that. The federal government will reimburse states for 50% of the costs incurred through 12/31/20 of unemployment benefits for state agencies and nonprofits. Now, Maryland isn't quite ready to process these PUA unemployment claims. So here's what they want you to do. They want you to visit their site. I'm going to give you the address or the web address, and we'll also post it on our resource page. But you should visit the site, scroll down to the box on the landing page, scroll down to the box where you enter your email address. The Department of Labor and License Regulation will then notify you via email when you can apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. And that website is www.dll.state.md.us/employment/unemployment.html. And when you hit that landing page on the unemployment insurance site, you'll scroll down and see the box where you can enter your email to be notified when it's time to submit your pandemic unemployment assistance claims. It should be soon. I'm thinking within a week, but I don't know that for certain. I just know that right now they can't take those applications for unemployment through the pandemic unemployment insurance process because they're just not ready for it. I know I've gone through a lot of technical information, and we're going to make sure that all of this information is on our resource page. And we're also recording this, thanks to the amazing Caitlin Walsh. We're recording this Zoom so that we can post it once this is all over. Look, here's a really important point I want to make to all of you, the people listening now and the people that will listen. No one, none of you, should have to sacrifice your business investment by lowering your cash on hand. If your dues are due now, if your dues are overdue, or if your dues are upcoming, we want you to protect yourself. If you want to retain your membership in this time, and we desperately hope that you do, please just email me. There's my email address. It's rweldon@frederickchamber.org. My phone number is 301-662-4164, and I'm at extension 203. And yes, I'm not in my office, but through the miracle of Comcast, all my office calls are now routed to my cell phone. So we can talk. We don't want you to put yourself in a position of jeopardy. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we will work this out to your benefit. Each one of you is a member of our chamber family. We're all brothers and sisters in this time of stress. In the last 2 weeks, I've worked with many dozens of our members to either problem solve or to investigate or to research options and choices. This stuff is incredibly complicated. We get that. But literally, I want you to know I've been spending 10 hours a day for the last week and a half answering questions that members are asking me about these programs, talking to bankers, talking to state officials. I've had conversations with Congressman Trone, with Senators Van Hollen and Senator Cardin, with Tom Barkin, the president of the Richmond Bank of the Federal Reserve Bank of America, about where we are, how these things work. I get a daily update from Tamar Osterman with the State Department of Labor and License Regulation. That's how we knew to take down the state grant and loan program applications off our website. I can get you the answers that you need. All you need to do is send me an email. Please call me or email me if you need help, or even if you just need a patient ear and a trusted friend. I'd now like to introduce Jennifer Gerlach. Jen is going to lead us through some of our tools to help you now and after we all get through this pandemic together. Jen?
Good morning. So I did want to go over some tools we have, as Rick said, and I want to talk about how we're utilizing them better to serve you during this time. A lot of you are familiar with our tools because you might be active on them, but I want to talk a little bit about how they're changing. First, though, I did want to introduce a new initiative that we have. It's called Shop Local Frederick. This is a collaborative Facebook project with Visit Frederick and the Downtown Frederick Partnership. It's a space where Frederick County businesses can connect with the community at large and provide information and opportunities to support one another. We use the page to share your statuses, updates, and offerings so the community can easily choose your business to support now and even going forward into the future. So this is something we do plan to utilize going forward. I do want you to know that you don't need to be a member of the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce now to be featured. So that's something we're doing as a community benefit. You know, everyone's hurting, and so that's very important to us. A little bit about how that works. So our social media team spends a lot of time following, interacting with business pages, but obviously we just can't see everything. So if you want to have your updates included on the page and sent out to the followers, you just want to send the page a direct message. We post 3 to 4 updates a day, so please give us time to get your message up. A couple of pieces about this. To be featured, you actually have to have a Facebook business page and share with us a post from your page. You send that via direct message right in there, and you have to have an update that's of benefit to the community at large. We've put a lot of information on sales and takeouts and shopping local, but this is not just for our shops. This is for our businesses that provide discounted services right now. We have a whole host of things that we're featuring. All these guidelines actually are posted on Shop Local Frederick's page, by the way. So if you just go to the Facebook page, and I know Caitlin's putting things up on chat as we go. If you just want to go there and check the About page, it goes through all of the steps to kind of alert us to what you have. Email newsletters. So many of you are probably familiar with our email newsletters. Obviously, we've adjusted what's going out to you each Tuesday morning. It's our weekly source of news to our member base. It's our main source of consistent news to our member base. The type of information you can expect now includes things like the pandemic-related legislative updates. You know, Rick has been on, I don't know, I'm probably wrong, but at least 35 webinars to date. He's always on a webinar. So he gets the information as it's put out there. We feature business relief news and resources, business relief tools, upcoming webinars and classes, and relevant information articles. So it's a little bit of a different focus. If you're not getting them or you're not yet signed up, the link for that's in front of you. It's frederickchamber.org/email-newsletter. Or if you want to just very easily, you can just go to the frederickchamber.org page, the front page, scroll down a little bit, you'll see a box right there. You can just go ahead and do that. And I would really encourage you, if you want to have some of the people on your team subscribe. A lot of times we have 1 or 2 contacts in our database, so not everybody gets them because we don't have that information. So it's a bit of an imperfect system, but if you go here, you can go ahead and sign right up. Caitlin also is going to drop that link into the chat box so that you can just click on it. All right, social media. So social media, it's safe to say the Chambers always has used our social media channels to provide news and info. But right now we're working overtime to provide content in support of businesses. So please keep a close watch on these channels for breaking or timely news. If you're on Facebook, I would encourage you to change your settings on the Chamber page to see first. There's an option for you to do that right on our page so that you are as up to date as possible when resources or announcements are posted. You know, Facebook's a funny beast. It shows you what it wants to show you when it wants to show you it. And if you're not interacting with our page, you might not see it as timely as you need to. So for your reference, if you want to screenshot this, I think Caitlin's probably going to drop all these links in there. You're going to have 1,000 links probably while we're done. But these are our digital channels. So here's our social media channels. It's important to know we use them slightly differently. If you're a business on Instagram and you would like us to share on our stories your sales or promotions or what you're doing, that's a good place for that as well. And as an aside, Rick and I are working on a new project that we're going to be debuting next week on our social channels. So please keep a lookout for that. It is going to be a video project with local leaders to sort of answer some of these other questions that we get specific to various different topics, HR, financial, mental health, things like that. So we're working on that right now. So that'll be coming together, I believe, in the next week, and that'll be a couple of times a week. Webinars, that's really important for me to talk about. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, but we've heard a lot from our businesses, and many of you are talking about using this forced pause as kind of a time to get strategic and take on new skills, do the things that you've been wanting to. So we're working with our staff and our partners and our members to create webinars to help businesses move forward. These are free. We can hold up to 100 participants. They're going to be very similar to something like this. We encourage you to get yourself and your staff members signed up. Please look for more announcements in the upcoming week, but for right now, the rest of April, these are the courses that we have right now, because these are some of the things that have been asked for. Always know that you can send us any requests for webinars, or if you have an idea for one, you can always send it. You could use my email address, jgerlach@frederickchamber.org, or if it's easier to remember, you can send it to editor@frederickchamber.org. I get that as well. Okay, and many of you know about Chamber Insights, but in case you don't, Frederick Chamber Insights is our online news magazine. That's at frederickchamberinsights.com. We're working on weekly online articles covering lots of topics. It's going to help our businesses navigate this new normal. It's going to help you as a person as well. So that's another place that we are trying to provide really relevant, helpful content to you. These are some of the ones that we've put up recently. We're still doing our member features and still trying to create articles in the way that we did before. But right now we've switched gears like most everyone has. So please make visiting this site as part of your routine as well.
I'm incredibly impressed with the 17 of you who have emailed me specific questions about these programs. I know that this is inspiration driven by desperation. We totally understand that. So when I make this offer to you, that all you have to do, if you have a question about these programs, or you feel like something's confusing or something just didn't sound right when you talk to a government official about these programs, or confusion with your lender, I will get you the answer. Trust me, I will work tirelessly to get the information that you need to make these programs work for you. Never forget, ladies and gentlemen, the offers of assistance that we're being extended by the federal government, the state government, local governments. This is our money. These are resources being made available to us from the taxes that we pay. Don't be shy about just throwing the application out there to see if you're eligible for it, or if you can get back some of the money that you have paid or will pay. Or in the case we're in now, ladies and gentlemen, our great-grandchildren will be repaying. And this is not a political statement. This is simply a recognition that before you risk losing your investment, let's work together to see what we can get you, because again, this is our money. I know, we all know, our whole team, we all know that this is a deeply troubling time for all of us. But having an organization like the Chamber means that we can coordinate, we can collaborate, and we can organize as one voice to lift each other up, to support each other, and to share information and resources that are critical in this time. Our team, the 8 of us that work for the Chamber, and they're all working at home remotely, and they're doing a great job. Every morning we all coordinate through Slack what we're going to do for the day. Every night we tell each other what we've done. We have a Zoom staff meeting that the amazing Caitlin coordinates for us a couple times a week, so we can still see each other. Although they haven't seen my shaved head yet, I'm saving that for a big unveiling. But our board of directors, 24 of the leading industry leaders in every sector that we represent in our Chamber membership, are helping drive us to provide the resources that we need to extend to you to help you be successful. But our executive board leaders, this executive committee you're looking at now, these people are the best of the best in Frederick, and they each have their own challenges. Think of Dr. Chapdelaine, who's had to close her college and revert to distance learning, and is grappling with what to do about what happens when classes need to resume however they resume. Or Jason Lee, whose cleaning company is at the cutting edge of making sure workplaces are safe in an environment where a virus can exist on a hard surface for hours, a day, 2 days in some cases. Or how about Don Schilling, the VP of Ambulatory Affairs for Frederick Health? This guy is literally putting in 18-hour days figuring out how to deliver critical health care in a critical time. They are generously sharing their energies and their leadership with our efforts on all of your behalf. So here's the sum, and some of you already have. I'm up to 18 now. Please email me at rweldon@frederickchamber.org. Please visit our COVID-19 resource page, because the information is being updated daily, and it's going to accelerate. There's more information emerging as lenders figure out how to interact with the SBA, and banks learn how to reduce their risks so they can get you this money to help you. And then finally, please link up with us on all of our social media channels, because really we're using every tool in our toolbox to push this critical information out to you in this critical time. So I look forward to responding to your questions, doing the work for you, doing the research. Or again, if you just need somebody to talk to, I'm here And I want to. You are my brothers and sisters. You are our family. This isn't trite. This is reality. And we've never needed each other more than we need each other right now. I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to listen into this. We're going to post it after this is over. I hope you have a great day. I hope you stay safe. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you all very much.